So, like I
Okay.
said, we both went to Kutztown in the same cinema, television, media production department. How
Yep.
did you decide that that was something that you wanted to pursue?
Well, I didn't. It was an accident getting into the film major at Kutztown.
Hmm.
I and it's funny because I was going into it. I was in a college prep course program in high school, figuring things out. But when I applied, I saw what was it? Design communication and media communication,
Hmm.
and I didn't know the difference. So, yeah, I picked media communication, and then I saw my schedule, and I'm like, why do I have scripts? Why do I have a script class? uh, like I thought, and even then I thought it was like theater, like script writing for theater, not
Right.
film. So I was like super confused, but by the time like I saw it, I didn't know who to talk to about switching because I'm an artist. I draw, so I thought that I was getting into like the art college.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, it was really an accident. But by the time I actually started going into the classes with Professor Johnston, who's one of my favorites, probably the best. He's the best.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
But I just fell in love with the script writing class. Like I wish they had more before I left.
Hmm. Yeah, I think they've introduced a bunch of like extracurricular stuff like that, where like there's an advanced script writing class now, and
Yep.
like intro to cinematography and all that. It makes me wish that I had maybe taken a gap year in between high school and college, so I could have caught some of those classes. But yeah, I'm always glad to see the department thriving, even after we
Hmm.
left and all that. So that is kind of funny that you just kind of happened on the major, and that's really cool that you decided to stick with it. So I guess so. You'd kind of been interested in more of like visual, like drawing and like graphic art and all that for like prior to college. So how long had you been interested in that?
I've been drawing since like Head Start. Like I even have I gotta look for it, but I have like a tiny like 3x4 like notebook full of old Dragon Ball Z sketches that look like scribble. But yeah, I've been wanting to do this. I've been wanting to do this my entire life. Yeah, drawing is just in me. It's my passion. Uh, but I'm kind of glad that I didn't take it like as a college major in college because the course load that they have is crazy. And I
Mm,
did take some courses, like some extra courses for it, but I'm glad I took film because it just gave me something else under my belt. Because I'm even like during this quarantine, I'm still going and trying to learn new things on my own time. So it was nice to add something else to the tool belt.
yeah, yeah, I totally understand, and it is always kind of like you said, like regardless of what the medium is that you express yourself, there is kind of like this in like people who are the more creatively inclined kind of just have that inherent like drive to make something kind of like regardless of the medium. So that is kind of
Mhm.
it is good to expand that that skill set.
And when we took the film courses, I would immediately go to storyboarding. So if whatever story or script we were working on, I jumped on that. So that was a good experience too.
Hmm.
Um, I just wish we had like a course specifically for storyboarding because that
Yeah,
would have been awesome.
yeah, and I remember that was a lot of that was in your reel when we presented that before we graduated, and it was pretty impressive work, I gotta say.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course, of course. So, I guess moving on a little bit from that. So, you said that you've been trying to keep as busy as you can during the quarantine. But one other thing that I always see on your different Instagrams promoting your art is that you always share whenever it a piece of yours ends up in a public place, or like you do a commission for a company or like another individual, and it is always very impressive work. So I guess just talk a little bit about how you've been trying to sort of hit your stride post college.
Thank you. So I'm pretty much I do like freelance graphic design part time, and so I get like a bunch of different clients. But for the most part, people will ask me to draw them portraits, portraits of their families, stuff like that. One of my recent ones that wasn't a portrait though was my coworker during my day job, which is retail, where at least it was.
It's
The
always
HR
nice to break
manager,
out of that.
yeah, he was running for a political office, local office in Delaware County, and he asked me to design his business card. So I've done a couple of those. One of my better works was I designed 2 separate logos for a hair salon. One of my friends, her older sister owns this hair salon in Parksburg, and she commissioned me to design her logo, and now it's on all her stuff, which I'm very proud of because it was one of my earlier works too. So I wouldn't say I was, when I started doing graphic design maybe 3-4 years ago, and that design is probably 2 or 3 years old. So there's a lot of things that I didn't know that I do know now. So I'm really proud of that. But yeah, when I'm not doing commissions like portraits, logos, and like album covers and stuff, I'm working on a comic right now. It's a web comic that I have on webtoons.com, and I try to upload to that every week. I started.
Wow.
I started that 3 years ago, but then I stopped because I had a lot of things going on. I was still in college.
Right.
And then I finally came back to it. The old stuff is terrible, but the stuff that I've done like up to like a month ago is pretty good. I think it's nice. I have a backlog of stuff that I'm just putting out to put out. Eventually I'll get to the really good stuff that I want. But yeah, it's pretty good. I'm trying to basically gather up a following. I have a lot of people who check for me on Facebook, but it's kind of hard to transfer an audience from one platform to another.
Right.
So I'm basically just grinding, trying to get that to go. Right now, I have a brand. It's called Valley Star Comics, and the goal for the end of the year right now is to turn it into a legit business. Like LLC and all that good stuff. So right now, that's where I'm at.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I gotta say, across you have a couple different accounts for like different like types of commissions, different artworks and all that. But just looking at your main one, it's a pretty impressive following. So I think that's something to be very very proud of. I have total faith you'll be able to do that. But yeah, no, it's just it is always hard. I think the most difficult part that we kind of underestimate, whether it be like I guess kind of just freelancing in general, but like one of the trickiest parts of like trying to be your own boss or like be your own whether it be like a videographer or like a freelance artist or whatever, like it is growing that base of people who know you and sort of will help you bring in new customers and all that. So that is kind of the most challenging part, but you seem to be doing a very, very good job at upping your game there.
Thanks. It's really all about marketing. I won't say that I'm the best at it, but there's a lot of artists that I know who are better than me, but don't have the following behind it because they don't know how to sell themselves. They don't know how to, do art for the sake of art, but also appeal to an audience.
Right.
And just like before me and you got started talking today, I was up in my studio sketching up some like fan art, but with my character in it, so that it appeals to different audiences, to round them up, to get them interested in what I'm doing. Because you can have something great and it can be your own original thing, but if no one can relate to it, then it's not, you're not going to be successful with it.
Right.
It's funny because do you watch the Game Grumps?
I'm familiar with them, not 100%. I couldn't tell you much about their content, but I know who they are.
Okay, well, they're Let's Players and comedians, and they have all these different like businesses on the side. But they just recently was just talking about stuff like this. Like, if you can make art for the sake of art, which is great, but if you want to turn it into a business and be successful, then you have to appeal to a need. Yeah.
And there is definitely a lot of a sort of struggle to be had with that, because there is not really like to the extent of like sacrificing your creative integrity, but it is kind of like finding that healthy compromise of like, here's what I enjoy doing and here's what I need to do, and how can I make what I enjoy doing more in line with what's gonna bring in new viewers or new customers or anything like that. So that struggle is definitely there, but if you can find a way to get it down, then that's like almost all the work done for you, because the creative part kind of takes care of itself.
Exactly.
So I guess moving on to sort of the movie element of the podcast, two questions that I like to ask every guest who is involved in a creative field. In your case, I guess it'd be more in line with how you got your start in drawing or character design and all that, because like you said, you kind of ended up in video production on accident. But I mean, if you do have a video or movie-esque story here, that's also great. But I find that a lot of people who, especially like directors or like cinematographers or anything like that, that whenever you hear them talking about how they got their start, they always mention that they would like mess around with like the family camera, or like they would always be writing stories or whatever, but there was like one movie or one show or one something that they saw, and then that's what inspired them to go full on and pursue their passion as their career. So do you have like a movie or a show or a moment like that where it just all sort of clicked and you were like, no, this is what I have to do with my life?
Yeah. So I guess the show for me would be an anime called Naruto. Naruto is my favorite anime cartoon of all time, because it takes this underdog and puts him into like this fairy tale where he's like chosen to do great things, and even though like he's like overpowered at sometimes, he really has to like go through these life struggles that automatically not automatically, but push him to make him stronger as a person and a protagonist. But so it was that show, and then Marvel Comics, specifically Stanley's personality and what he brought to the company as a whole over the years. It was just, I don't know, just extremely impressive, and just put some type of emotional like impression on me as to what I can do as an artist. And he would have his speeches and yell Excelsior and call his fans true believers and all that stuff, and it really just like made you believe that whatever you could do it. And I think besides the characters, the stories are what get me, because I consider myself a freelance graphic designer. I consider myself an artist, but ultimately, I feel like I was put in this world to tell stories. I'm a storyteller, and I have all of these stories that I want to share with the world, and I'm just getting ready to do that. And the stories that come out of Marvel Comics and the anime Naruto, it's just the power that lies within those stories that create such an emotional attachment for people
Mm-hmm.
was just so impressive to me. Like it's kind of like a superpower to me, I think. Like to be able to put words together to create a story that somebody watches and makes them cry or makes them or convinces them that they too can do whatever it is that they want to do. That's some powerful stuff to me.
Definitely, yeah. The one thing that I always bring up is there's a great quote by Kevin Smith where it's in this book that he wrote where he talks about there's a whole chapter on uh, the people who influenced him creatively and how he got his start and like what that moment was that I mentioned for him. But the one quote that he says kind of towards the end is. He says it costs nothing to encourage potential artists and it costs nothing to encourage an artist and the potential benefits are staggering. A simple pat on the back I think is the second half of I always say the first half, but the second half of that quote is a pat on the back to an artist today could one day result in your favorite movie or the cartoon that you love to put on at midnight to just forget about everything that happened during the day, or a song that it makes you always tear up and reflect on your life. And so there is definitely a truth to what you're saying, in that there, like, just the simple encouragement or like the simple appealing to any one demographic does have these like huge implications that are almost impossible to really understand.
Can I just gush a little bit on a recent Marvel film
Sure, go
that
for it.
came like 2 years ago? I know, like just on like a relatable tip, like so Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
I went to go watch that movie in theaters twice,
Mm.
and I cried both times.
Oh,
It is not. It is not the movie that you go to be crying, like at all. like, I went there the first time with my girlfriend at the time, and she looked at me like, what are you doing? Why are you crying? But honestly, like, what's his name? Ryan Coogler, the director.
yeah, Ryan Coogler.
Like, I don't know how much influence he has over the way that the story was told, but like everything in that movie literally was everything that wanted I wanted to become.
Mm.
It's like, because I have all the comics and story ideas that I have right now. The movie Black Panther just was like, bam, this is what this is what you want. Like this is what it, like, it's all this is what the payoff looks like
Right.
of like, you want this, like this is what all your hard work should lead up to if you work hard enough.
Yeah.
Like, so that it just blew me away. Like, now we can talk about like everything wrong with that film now, because it's been like, I don't know, 2 years or something. Like,
Yeah.
the CGI was terrible, but like just like the message and the vision that I got from that was so much to me.
Yeah, it is definitely. I kind of come at it from the perspective of it is like when you get down to it, in a lot of ways, it is just kind of like your standard Marvel movie with like kind of what's going to happen before you get to the end. But there is something. It doesn't necessarily appeal to me, but there is something definitely unique about it, and the way that it was done. And Ryan Coogler is a very good director from the other films of his I've seen, like Fruitvale Station. Let me pull up his filmography. What else has he done? I think he's doing the second one too, right? The one that's coming up sometime. I don't know when it would be coming out, or if it's been postponed.
Probably another year or so.
Yeah, Fruitvale. Creed. Yeah, he did the Creed movies. I forgot about that.
Okay.
And he's doing Space Jam 2.
Oh
supposedly.
My God. Yeah.
or just writing it. So that'll be interesting. But no, it's definitely that movie, not necessarily for me, but I do like I totally understand what you mean. There's just some movies where it all just sort of clicks, and it's just like everything that you want in a movie, or anything you want in just like purely like a story, or like whether it be like content that, like in your case, you being a big Marvel fan, like content that you identify with prior, and then to see it represented in a much more broad medium like film, it is very it's very powerful stuff.
Mm-hmm.